You got Texas, you got Washington in the Sugar Bowl. What are the what-ifs that we got to keep an eye on for a game like this? There's so much made, and I've said this multiple times, it's going to be high scoring. Both teams are scoring over 35. Neither secondary is that good. NFL quarterback, NFL wide receivers. What if this game was played in the 20s? What if both the defensive coordinators for these teams just flip the script and say, you know what? We watched a lot of tape. We heard all y'all talk, and we brought our A game. Find a way to beat us by scoring one more time than us. Because it's going to come down to that. You're going to take a lot of punts, probably kick some field goals. Who's able to shape shift the best? Because to be clear, neither one of these teams wants to play that style of game. I'm sure they both want to play good defense, but neither offense wants to be held in that 20 range. Both are much more physical too, offensively, than nationally how they're perceived. Texas is running the ball for almost 200 yards a game. Washington absolutely mauled a top 10 run-stopping unit in Oregon. Dylan Johnson is still lowering his shoulder on Oregon Duck defenders right now to this day. Also, Washington, to be clear, they've won a fair amount of games that have been played in the 20s. Game against Washington State, game against Oregon State. Like they're not unfamiliar with that territory. In a spot like this, though, if this what-if were to happen, I would give the edge to Texas, and purely because of the depth of what they have in that running back room. Keelan Robinson, C.J. Baxter, Jaden Blue, they have much more, I think, off-road tires than what Washington has. Not to say they don't still have it, but you have Dylan Johnson. And then past that, I'm looking for who else can carry the mail for you. And if the game is played in the 20s like I'm talking about, I think there's going to be a lot said for, okay, who else needs to eat while this guy gets off on the sideline and kind of just gets some water and gets ready. Okay, now we're back to him. Okay, next running back in. Kind of just this whole, musical chairs when it comes to the running backs getting downhill. So keep an eye on that. Again, I think the depth of Texas is something to watch for if we do have a game that ends up being surprisingly low scoring. Another what if for you. What if Texas is able to get to Michael Penix Jr.? This is the first time we would see that, if that ends up being the case. Washington giving up a sack rate of 2% on the season. Okay, one of the best in the country, number 2 in the country. Quite frankly, because they're able to get rid of the ball so quickly, a lot of what they draw up on offense has quick answers for Michael Penix Jr. Also, they do a good job protecting him. This would require really great secondary play from Texas. To this point in the season, we haven't seen consistently great secondary play from Texas. But if this were to happen, again, it would be a new variable into the equation we haven't seen with Washington. It would also, I think, require Ryan Grubbs to be able to adapt his game plan to get Michael Penix Jr. back into rhythm. Haven't seen him out of rhythm just yet. Not to say we haven't seen Michael Penix Jr. struggle, but we haven't seen him routinely hit and had someone consistently get to him. Oregon tried to do that. They tried to dial up pressure, and they got beat whenever they brought pressure, is the way that it felt to me. So keep an eye on that one. It would be very curious to me to see a spot like this, though, because I think it's something that Texas will at some point try to do, whether they bring it with stunts with just 4 guys, whether they bring a linebacker from the edge. At some way, you have to, I think, affect Michael Penix Jr. if you want to win this game if you're Texas. Now, if you're Washington, here's my what if for them. What if they take away the balance from the Texas offense? Texas has been really balanced all season long. They lean a little bit more on the run game, which is all the more a reason to explore this point. Texas is a 52% running the football team. Washington at the linebacker level, they trigger on the football really quickly. Meaning when you're watching Washington on TV, those linebackers, as soon as the ball is snapped and they read their keys, they're getting downhill. They're not waiting. They're not asking for directions. They are getting right to the ball carrier. And if they're wrong, they're wrong. Then some RPO plays happen and good things are happening for Texas. But I just want to kind of explore this thought of what if they're forcing Texas to ride around, let's say, 2.5 yards a carry. And they're not really able to get the whole run to pass thing set up. To me, that would be the ultimate rubber meets the road scenario for Texas. Because what have we heard all year long? Really offseason long as well when it comes to Texas. Quinn Ewers this, Steve Sarkisian, quarterback guru that. Well, in this spot where you take away the run game, it is squarely put on Quinn Ewers to win it for you. It is squarely put on Steve Sarkisian to have his quarterback ready to go win for you and win through the air. So that would be something I'm very, very curious to see. That would be a jaw dropper in my mind if they do totally take away the run game from Texas, and it would make them absolutely uncomfortable and have to play left-handed. But overall, man, a lot of what-ifs to explore there with Sugar Bowl. Can't wait to watch it on New Year's Day. But those are some things that, again, I think we need to keep an eye on and be cognizant of as we head into that game in New Orleans. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.